Welcome to the Cluey Podcast, where we help conscious consumers like you get clueyed into the latest conscious tips, topics, and brands from impact-driven founders to experts and thought leaders on the topic at hand. I'm your host, Maryclaire Manard, founder and CEO of Cluey. Let's get clueyed in. Today's topic, how sustainable can cleaning products truly be? To discuss this, our guest today is Kate Jakubas, the founder and CEO of Meliora Cleaning Products, a Chicago-based manufacturer of cleaning products that are free of single-use plastic with ingredients that meet strict criteria to avoid harm to people and planet. They're one of the most certifiably good brands in the laundry space and cleaning supply space, with a whopping 5 certifications, not to mention being top-rated on Cluey. Kate, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Maryclaire. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you. So, I talked a little bit about Meliora, but I'm really interested to hear first and foremost about your background and your story of starting an impact-focused consumer business. How did Meliora come to be, and who was Kate before being the founder of Meliora?
Yeah, terrific. My background's actually really technical. I know a lot of consumer brand followers have a really personal story of what brought them to their mission-focused business. Mine is still really important and personal, but it all came about from studying engineering. My original background, my bachelor's degree is in material science engineering. I've always loved figuring out problems and problem solving. After I finished school, after my bachelor's degree, I was working in research and development for a company that made faucet products. And at the time, I thought I was like an environmentally friendly person. To me, that meant I recycled, I guess. And I liked trees or something. I don't know. But when I was doing that job, I started working. There was a new regulation that came out that required the amount of lead in faucets to be reduced. And I suddenly realized, how interesting it was and how important it was to not only sort of do the right things on a day-to-day basis, for the environment, but I became very interested in what that meant technically as a product engineer, as someone that was working for companies that were offering products. What are the responsible things that those companies should be doing to ensure that the products they make are safe for people and for the planet? And so I ended up going back to school. I got another degree, a master's in environmental engineering, and I worked for a different company for a while. And eventually I realized I wanted to make better cleaning products. I was learning about what the impact of something we call intentional release, when we intentionally put something out into the environment, which is the case with cleaning products, laundry powder, we're adding them to a washing machine, then we intend for them to go into the water. I was really interested in that idea of looking at, for these products, how can we make them safer? How can we look at the impact of them? And ended up thinking that really it was an industry that needed better products. And so I thought, why not me? I'll be the person to introduce them. And the rest is, I guess, history, as they say.
That's awesome. I've never heard of the term intentional release just yet in my own journey and discovery into sustainability. So that's really cool to hear, and I'm interested to learn more about that.
We can talk about that all day.
Just really quickly, when did you start Meliora again? What year?
Yeah, 2013. So we are almost 10 years old, coming up on 10 years.
Happy double digits birthday.
Yeah.
Well, I think what's so unique about your story, you mentioned that you're extremely technical in terms of your background and as a founder, but how plugged in you were into certifications and generally the regulatory space because of this interest that you mentioned. So how do you think that specifically, certifications and having a deep understanding of regulations and the regulatory space, how do you think that helped you in your mission to become, quote unquote, the world's most transparent cleaning products company?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things definitely influenced it. I worked for about 10 years in the product regulatory space. So this was something I was very comfortable with. I joked for a while that I would put on my resume, like high boredom tolerance was one of my main features, like professional qualifications. I can read a 20-page, proposed regulatory document, and that was just a Tuesday afternoon for me. So I think being comfortable in that space definitely helped because I felt like I could navigate it. As an approach for Meliora, it helped us determine a strategy for certifications. And to us, when we look at the whole, there are I'm not going to say millions, but there are certainly dozens. There might even be hundreds of certifications that can apply to different products. So when we're choosing what are the ones that are important, we actually think about two things. One is, do they actually help make the products better? On top of boredom tolerance, I'm also great at paperwork. So some certifications are just about, being able to fill out the paper, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not necessarily making your product better. And a good example of that is the Leaping Bunny certification, which we do hold, and I think it's great. We had a lot of customers asking for it, but we didn't change anything about our product to get that certification. We just had to do the paperwork for it. That, as opposed to something like our B Corp certification, which looks at the entire governance structure of our company, how we do things, how the company gets operated, the type of things we do, how we pay our workers. That's a certification that actively helps us and makes our product and our business better. So we basically will only pursue a certification if it does one of those two things. If it actually makes something better, like B Corp or Made Safe is another certification that helps our products, or if our customers demand it, it's something they keep asking for, and then we will get that certification if it's something so market driven like that.
Very cool. And like I said earlier, you guys are one of the most certifiably amazing brands out there, just given the sheer number of core certifications that you have. So what are all of Meliora's current certifications, and can you list them off for us?
Yes, I'm pretty sure I can. So we are a women-owned enterprise. So I own the majority of the company. We are certified B Corp. So again, that's at the governance level that covers all the activities of the company. We're Leaping Bunny certified, which has to do with animal testing and lack of animal testing. We're also vegan, so we don't use any animal ingredients. We're Made Safe certified. It's actually one of my favorite certifications. Looks at all of our ingredients and screens them against a whole slew of standards to make sure they're safe. And let's see, is that it? We're 1% for the Planet company. So that's has to do with our commitment to giving back to our community and the environment.
That's awesome. Well, those are a lot of amazing, amazing certifications. But I want to get into the meat of our interview now, because there's a big topic at hand in the cleaning supplies space, specifically the sustainable cleaning supplies space, excuse me. But you started your company with your laundry powder product. So right now, the laundry detergent space is having a bit of a reckoning, as I mentioned, thanks to another impact-focused brand in the space, Blueland. For our followers who are unaware, Blueland commissioned a research report regarding laundry pods, those plastic little pods that dissolve in water. Well, supposedly dissolve, I should say, but they are made of a synthetic polymer called PVA. Essentially, their study indicates that these pods don't actually dissolve, and in fact, they pollute our waterways with microplastics. They're even petitioning the EPA to remove PVAs from their safer choice labels. There's been plenty of pushback from brands who make pods indicating that they're water soluble. And given your brand offers one of the only completely plastic-free laundry products on the market, I'm curious what you think about this hotly debated topic.
I'm so glad you asked this question. And you're totally right. It's such an interesting time in laundry right now, because we have so many people that want to avoid plastic, that are looking to reduce their plastic usage. And it's so easy to look at a giant plastic jug and think, that you've got to throw it away. And it's so easy to look at these strips and pods that maybe they feel a little like styrofoam, but it doesn't say they're plastic on the package, and they come in a cardboard sleeve, and you really want to believe that you're not contributing to the plastic pollution problem by using them. And unfortunately, I think the information that's coming out, the science that's coming out, shows that that's really not the case. So one of the important things I want to touch back on is we already talked about the phrase intentional release, right? So if we're thinking about a liquid laundry detergent that comes in a plastic jug, everybody, including the laundry detergent manufacturer, is going to agree that you're not intentionally putting that jug into the environment. Nobody wants that plastic jug to end up in a river or in a waterway. So when it ends up there, it becomes microplastic. It's a failure on a number of levels, and certainly we want to avoid that. But what I don't think the answer is designing the plastic to be released intentionally, taking the plastic from that jug and putting it into the sheet. Again, the way that you are supposed to use this product, you're intentionally adding plastic to a waterway. And I just don't see how that's an answer to the plastic pollution problem. Regarding the microplastics issue. So in technical language, a microplastic is a small piece of plastic. So because PVA can be fully dissolved again, legally, technically, it's not a microplastic because it's a dissolved plastic or plastic soup, I guess you could call it instead. To me, that's a distinction without a difference. I don't think people really expect that, a microplastic only refers to small bits and like this dissolved plastic somehow is not plastic. So, I certainly, my biggest problem with them is that, again, there's an intentional release of plastic every time they're used. My second issue with PVA is that the brands that are using them, almost to a brand, are obfuscating the fact that this is plastic. You'll hear the sheets design, they will say dissolvable matrix. They're not going to say it's a plastic. They call it a matrix. They call it a backing material. They call it just a material. And then it feels like pulling teeth to get them to admit that, no, this is a synthetic plastic that is making up their product. And just because, there are some studies saying that it, in theory, under the right conditions, whether those conditions exist is out for debate. In theory, they can be broken down. They are biodegradable. But again, I think biodegradable is going to be the new recyclable. We all know that just because something is recyclable doesn't mean it gets recycled. Nobody is going to sell you a yogurt cup and tell you that yogurt cup isn't plastic just because it's recyclable. So I definitely don't understand the notion of selling someone a laundry sheet and telling them it's not plastic just because it's biodegradable.
Yeah. I believe Blueland had a piece in their campaign that their marketing campaign that in the same way that like it's water soluble, so is like salt is water soluble, but like just because you can't see salt doesn't mean you can't not taste water. So
like you're still putting it in there.
Exactly.
Like we've had a bunch of people say like they still think it's better than jugs. And like I have to say I don't think it's better than jugs because it's a mistake when a plastic jug ends up in the waterway. It's not a mistake. You're intending to put PVA in the waterway. So obviously I want the science to come out. I want to know like is a theoretically, biodegradable plastic better than breaking up a jug? Like I would love to know and answer that. I don't think we have that answer yet.
That makes a lot of sense. And to clarify, another point for our users too, or for our followers, I should say, who are listening in, the concept of this chemical or this compound PVA, also called PVOH, being considered a safer choice ingredient by the EPA. It's also technically mentioned as not considered harmful by the Environmental Working Group as well. So there is still a debate. There is no official, this is definitely from some sort of regulatory authority, this is definitely the wrong type of ingredient to be releasing into the waterways, or this is definitely the right type of ingredient to be releasing into waterways. This is still a new debate that's really being unfolded currently as we speak. But one of the reasons why PVA and PVOH was thought to be considered safe was because of that biodegradable element, considering that there are some microorganisms that exist in certain wastewater treatment plants that can actually break down that specific compound. The issue, though, according to the Blueland Commission research report, is that wastewater does not exist in a wastewater treatment plant long enough for those microorganisms to break down and biodegrade that compound fully. It needs about 30 days, but most wastewater stays in a wastewater treatment plant, maybe under 7 days. So oftentimes the report indicates that almost 75% estimated of laundry pods, detergent pods, etc., these sheets actually make it their way, ultimately ending up in waterways. It's really interesting to see how this is shaking out. You're familiar. You mentioned earlier when we were chatting before the podcast that you even spoke to somebody at a wastewater treatment plant. What did they say about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So another kind of fun fact is I happen to have a master's degree in wastewater management. That was the subcomponent of environmental engineering that I studied. So luckily for me in this situation, I did know a few people that I could call on the phone and get their opinion as someone working in wastewater treatment, literally the people that are pulling the levers and making sure our water cleans up. And the perspective that was offered by the engineer I spoke to was that, they are a government agency. They are cleaning the water. They have a list of pollutants that they by law have to remove from the water. And they're things you would expect, taking lead out of the water. It's a short list of very toxic items. The trouble comes in where, like, in order to not waste taxpayer money, which we all can agree is probably a good thing, the wastewater treatment plants are not taking out anything that's not on that list. So if it's not on the list, it's not getting addressed. The wastewater treatment plant is not designed to set it up. And in fact, as we know from the study and from speaking to people, it is not getting taken out. So unless it becomes a priority pollutant, thereby providing funds, governmental provided funds to help take it out of the wastewater, it's not something that we can expect our wastewater treatment plants to focus on. So yeah, that's another element of practicality. It's not coming out.
I had no idea that, aside from those priority pollutants, that in order to save efficiency and time and money, that most everything else is not being taken out. So that's kind of a scary thought, but thank you for sharing that with us. Our Cluey stance and recommendation to our consumers is that while the EPA hasn't made an official call on this, they have said that they are going to consider the research proposal, and the research and petition proposal argue that the EPA should take PVA and PVOH off their safer choice label until they conclude further research definitively one way or the other, whether or not these ingredients are in fact safe for our waterways. But Kate, I'm so glad to have gotten your perspective on this, especially given your very technical background. And I did not find that I needed a tolerance for boredom at all during that. I found it incredibly interesting. So thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. Just spreading the joy.
Now, we love to end our podcast with 2 glimmers of hope. So first glimmer of hope is, what's a new innovation in the world of impact that you're really jazzed about right now?
Absolutely. I'm actually going to say the world of impact is so business focused. I just started teaching at a business school here in Chicago. I teach operations at a mission focused MBA cohort. So like, this is a group of students that went back to study business with the specific idea that they're going to integrate mission into their business lives for the rest of their careers. And I feel so much hope from that, from the engagement of the students, from the up and coming students and scholars of today that are going to be the business leaders of tomorrow, that take it as a given that of course they're going to be mission focused. Of course they're doing things to help change the world. And I love that so much.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, I think we can all agree that the world would only benefit from more business leaders being impact driven and impact focused in their priorities. So that's awesome. And the second glimmer of hope question is, can you rapid fire name 3 other impact focused brands that you absolutely love and use in your day to day? And what is it that they make?
I'll just focus on one because it's so fun and it's relatively new to me. Anyway, I just learned about a brand called Cougar Cheese. And it's cheese, literally like dairy product cheese that is made at the University of Washington. So their social focus is that students at Washington, one, learn how to make cheese, which I love the idea of learning how to make anything, right? I'm in manufacturing, like get my hands in something, like let's make stuff. And so they learn how to make it. They learn how to market it. They literally run this business of Cougar Cheese. And the best part, I've never seen cheese that wasn't wrapped in plastic and sold in plastic. They sell cheese in cans. So it comes in a can, like literally, like it looks like a giant tuna can. It's not like the spray cans from maybe someone's college days. Maybe I did that or not. But like literally a giant can of cheese that you get. The cheese is delicious. I love the mission of the education component of it. I love everything about it. So a great holiday gift, Cougar Cheese.
Awesome. Well, you heard it here first on the Cluey Podcast. Check out Cougar Cheese. Thank you so much, Kate, for coming on our podcast to get our followers clued in about the debate on plastic in the laundry and cleaning space. And thanks to all of our listeners who tuned in for this episode of Cluey Podcast. You can learn more about Meliora and their impacts at clueyconsumer.com and search for Meliora. You can also visit their site at meliorameansbetter.com. Kate, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And as a disclaimer, Cluey does have an affiliate relationship with Meliora cleaning products. We only enter into affiliate relationships with brands who score B- or higher on both their people impacts and planet impacts on our rating system. Our ratings are aggregated from best-in-class third-party data sources, so Cluey cannot impact the ratings of these brands ourselves. If you'd like to learn more about Cluey, our top-rated brands, our ratings, and how we make money, you can find it all at clueyconsumer.com/about us. Come back next time to get Cluey'd in on the latest in the world of conscious consumerism.